Good afternoon, everyone. This is Toni Vanschoyck with another edition of Simple Wealth Podcast. And here we feature amazing entrepreneurs that are just crushing it in their business. And I was super honored to meet this gentleman. His name is Ryan Fox, and he's going to share with you his incredible journey. Now, the best thing that you can do for me is, share our podcast or our YouTube on Spotify, Apple, and on Simple Wealth YouTube as well, because we come to you with a show every week with someone who's just absolutely incredible. So Ryan and I, we met each other at a mastermind. We had some great conversations. He's got a great, phenomenal story. I'm going to ask him to share probably a little bit more than he may want to, but that's what it's all about, is showing, really how entrepreneurs, they really do bootstrap it, and then they start these ideas that they get, and then they just run with it. And so now, Ryan has a mastermind. He has a year-round lighting business, but I was really impressed what he's done with his seasonal lights during the holiday season. And he shared with me some numbers with that. He is married with 3 little boys, all under the age of 5, right, Ryan?
Yeah, 5, 3, and 1.
Yeah. You and your wife are really busy. But
yeah.
So, Ryan, anyways, I would like to really start off with, tell people a little bit about your background, who you're all about and what you're all about. And then we'll dive into the entrepreneurial questions.
Okay. Yeah. So my dad started his own company when I was like 6. So I got to see him build his own company. But then he lost it. So I think that was, we people talk about your story and stuff. That was part of my story, right? So I got to see him grow it, run successfully and then lose it. But I was the kid that my parents said that they always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. They said from when I was like 5 years old on, they said they knew that I was going to own businesses. They didn't know what, but they just knew. I had a lemonade stand as a kid with another brother and sister and my sister, and I wanted to reinvest the money after the first day and keep it going. And they wanted their money to go buy some candy, and then I ran it for like a week and made maybe a couple $100 or something, and selling Cokes and candy to the guys building the houses in the neighborhood. And so they wanted back in, and my dad's like, no, you already had your money. You're out. You got to start a competing one if you want to do it. Well, that was too much work for them. They wanted the easy button, So then I started mowing yards when I was 11. My dad let me use his riding lawnmower and, had a little cart, and I went around and made flyers. He made me make the flyers myself and go talk to the people and knock on the doors and sell them and everything. And so I did that. And then I turned 16. He's like, hey, I'm going to get you a commercial mower and a trailer. Got me the whole setup. It was like, $8,500, and I had to pay him back in 2 years note, and paid him back in just over a year. And then when I was 18, he made me go in and get my first actual loan from the bank for a commercial loan for a mower. And I went and did it myself. And he made me go do it, which I think was, at the time I was scared, and I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know this. And I was doing the revenue though. So they, I had money in the bank. I had enough money to buy it, but my dad's like, you don't want to use all your money, Ryan. I'm like, why? And he was like, no, you let them use their money to buy it, and you fund it, they fund it for you. So that was like my first taste of real entrepreneurship. And I was like, wow, I could have somebody else's money so I can keep my cash to do what I need to do and grow the business. So I had friends working for me in high school, and I was making like $40,000 a year mowing yards in the weekends and in the summer and stuff. And continued that after college, went to college for a year for horticulture. That's when my parents kind of lost everything. So I kind of had to start paying on everything myself. And so it's kind of like, hey, college is going to the wayside. It's going to the back burner because I got to pay for everything. And I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom and sister and had to start paying half the bills and everything. So it was kind of like, hey, I got to focus on this. Kind of bounced around from sales job to sales job for a couple of years, about 2 years. And then me and my business partner now started a tree removal landscaping company in 2009. And we had like $150 each to our name, and he had a dump truck and I had some chainsaws and ropes, and we just started knocking on doors and built a tree removal landscaping company. And then in 2012, he got the idea to hang Christmas lights, and we were slow in the wintertime. And so I was like, no one's going to pay us to do that. Now everybody pays us to do it. So it was one of the best decisions ever. And now we own that. We own a pressure washing gutter cleaning company. We started in 2015, got out of the tree business in 2016. And then we also have a mastermind. We started with a couple other people who JC you met, and then was one of them. And we coach other people to grow and scale their lighting company like we have. And then I also sell Christmas lights. I import them and sell them to people as well.
So you have a lot of different hats that you're wearing, but I love that you've really focused on the outdoor portion of the service industry. Yeah. So okay, why all the different companies rolled into one? Is it just because it came to you, or did you actively look to buy these companies? How did that happen?
Yeah. So obviously the first one was the landscaping tree work. That was kind of what I was already in, and my dad was in that industry. So it's just kind of naturally, that's what I went to. The tree business we decided to get out of because it's very dangerous and it's very hard to scale. It takes a lot of cash. And so me and my business partner one day both looked at each other and were like, we don't like this business anymore. One day it was just like an aha moment. And so we actually got into the gutter cleaning power washing business, and we decided a franchise actually came to us and they needed somebody to model it. So we were their licensee and we modeled it for them and everything. And so it kind of just fell in our lap when we weren't happy with the other business. And so we kind of took, that year, that was 2015. That was probably one of the hardest years in business. And we kind of took 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward kind of thing. Everybody thought we were crazy because we're walking away from all this revenue. And we were like, we're not happy. We have to do this for ourselves and to grow our company. And, luckily both of our wives believed in us and were there to support us. But like my dad was doing sales for me and stuff, and I had to let him go. And he's just like, people are like, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? You're walking away from $500,000 company. And, it's just what we had to do. And then the Christmas lights have always been, pretty much after a couple of years, it's been our largest revenue source. So that one's kind of been our bread and butter. And, so we've kind of always held on to that. Now everything we're doing pretty much besides the gutter cleaning, power washing it's all lights centered around lighting. So.
Okay. All right. So you had mentioned that you and your business partner have been together since 2012.
2009. Yeah.
2009. Okay. So that is a really, really long time for 2 people to be in business, because usually one or the other outgrows, you outgrow each other. So what do you think makes it such a synergistic, successful relationship?
We're opposites. So where I'm really good at sales and marketing, he's really good at the operations side of it. Doesn't mean like when he's gone, I can't cover operations. It doesn't mean when I'm gone, he can't. He goes and runs some sales appointments if I have them, scheduled or whatnot, or helps in that side of the business. But early on, we had our lanes, and a lot of people want to get in business with somebody they like that's like them. If you're really good at sales, you want to get in business with somebody else that knows sales. Well, that's a terrible idea, because now you're both going to be fighting over how you're going to do the sales and this and that. He doesn't fight with me over how I want to do the sales. Like, he might put his input in, but he's like, at the end of the day, that's your side of the company. I also tell everybody that I've been married longer to him than I have my wife, and everybody always laughs at that. And so, but the thing is, at the end of the day, is you have to have, just like a marriage, you have to have trust and you have to have really good communication. So we talk multiple times a day. Usually at the end of the day, we kind of, just chit chat. Hey, what's going on? What did you deal with and stuff? And we have actual meetings and stuff too. But, I think that's the biggest thing. If you don't trust the person, and you don't have the same vision, then that's where it goes south. And you're talking about outgrowing people, that does happen. I've seen it in a lot of businesses, but I think we're both, our whys are bigger and they're in line with what we want. So what we both want. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think if it ever gets to a point to where our visions are different, either somebody's got to buy somebody out or we have to sell it or something. But as of right now, our visions have been in line. So
that's really incredible to find that kind of business partner, because that's not easy to come by. So,
no, and it just happened. It wasn't like I knew what I knew at the time. It's just we're one of the ones that got lucky. I tell everybody, but now on the other side, I see, and if I get business partners now, it would be somebody I would look for certain things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you and I spoke, you and I are very similar. as far as sales go in relations to people, where my husband is more of the integrator, like your business partner is, right? More operational, budget, finances, all that kind of stuff. So it when you find the right person, it's a wonderful working relationship. So here I have another great question for you. So you've kind of touched a little bit on some of your professional challenges, but what is the biggest professional challenge that you have had?
2015 was a really bad year. It was just, everybody, if you've been in business long enough, you have that one year that that was less like, you were like, oh my gosh. So that year was the year we decided to get into start the power washing gutter cleaning company. We decided to, scale back the tree work. We were out of it by the start of 2016. So it was like a transition year. It was just one of those years that like anything that went wrong went wrong in that year. And it was got to the point where like every time the phone rang, I was just like, what is it now? Like, oh, the guy's got in an accident. Oh, 3 guys quit in one day. It was just like one after another, just everything just kept hitting us. And me and my wife were building our house at the time. And I was living with my father-in-law, and he just saw all the stuff just coming at us. And one morning, I remember he was making his coffee, and he looked at me, he goes, how do you get up every day and go to work? And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, I commend you for that. He said, a lot of people wouldn't do what you're doing. And I said, well, I have people relying on me that have getting paychecks and this and that. I said, no, then even though it sucks and everything's going on, at the end of the day, we got to figure it out, we got to work through it. And that's when we had to take those, 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. And he told me I was really resilient, me and my business partner. He's like, you're really resilient. And I think that is something that's a really good quality to have. I think a lot of really good entrepreneurs that you've been in the business long enough, that's one of the things they wound up being really good at because of that. You have your highs and you have your lows. It's very lonely time, businesses, because not a lot of people understand. And it's, they don't understand the highs and the lows. And then, I tell people all the time too, you kind of outgrow your friends that you had when you started. You make new friends that have other businesses and stuff, because the other people, they don't understand, like, it's nothing against them. It's just their life is totally different than your life and where you're headed. And I tell young entrepreneurs that all the time, and they're like, no, I'm going to be friends with my friends still. I'm like, I'm not saying you're not going to be friends with them. I'm just saying you're not going to hang out and they're going to be sitting over talking about working 9 to 5, and you're going to be sitting here talking about working 9 to 5 and coming home and taking care of your family, and then working, 5 more hours at night, or something after everybody goes to sleep and stuff or whatnot. And it's just totally different. But yeah, that was a really tough year. I look at that year and I'm the pain is where we grew. There was a lot of growth that happened that year. But it was not a fun year to go through. I have to tell you that much.
So how would you say, what do you think? Okay, because, we talk a lot about resilience and grit and perseverance as an entrepreneur. Yep. And I know that you want to, you have these plans to grow your business. So can you give us a bird's eye view of what, the next 1, 5, 10 years looks like, and how you're going to plan this out? And are you at the point like in your businesses where you can kind of see what's coming down the pipeline and you already know what to anticipate, and then that way you can work around it?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely see that's been something that's, it's been happening more and more. I think you get being self-aware, I guess, is number one of your company and yourself. And as you grow, you become self-aware of what you're really good at and what you're not really good at. So then you can hire people that are really good at the things you're not good at. So you hire those people. So I think that has a lot to do with it, because early on you do everything. And then as you grow, you're like, oh, I need somebody that does this. And you hire somebody that does that. You need somebody that's really good at, marketing. So then I hire a marketing coordinator, I'm over her, but she's, that's what she does all day. So it's like you find those key people. So I feel like that does happen, that, you can see things coming. I think that early on in business too, you react to things. That's your whole life is just fires and reacting to it. And that's why I was in 2015, right? Is just putting out fires. It was just fire after fire after fire. And that's what I felt like as a fireman, and now I think it's not as much as putting out the fires. It's more, I feel like playing chess. I'm moving the pieces around so that best fit of how we're going to grow and what we're going to do, so you can see the move coming before it's almost ready to be moved. So I think that's kind of where we're at now. And then as far as what we're planning to do is, we our lighting company here, we're out of Atlanta, Georgia. We go throughout the Southeast for commercial jobs and stuff. Actually, we were in Hilton Head, one of our largest jobs. My guys are there now. They just left yesterday to go there and install that job. But we're looking at having, I'd like to have 50 to 100 locations in the next 5 years is my goal. So slowly scaling that. I'm self-aware that I know that I'm not want to be the CEO. I'm going to hire a CEO to run that for me because I don't want to run 50 or 100 locations. I want to be the owner and I want to help in the sales side of it, but I don't want to be the person to run the day to day. So as we get this going, I want to probably in the next year or so, I want to hire a CEO and let them do that. So I think that's, that's our biggest thing right now, is with Lights All Year doing that.
Okay. So that's a huge goal. And I love entrepreneurs that think, on that kind of level. And so when you and I were talking and you had mentioned that to me, I was like, just to see your vision. Now, would you say, and I know that you started working as an entrepreneur very young, because you know what, doing the lemonade stand, doing the lawn service and all that kind of stuff, you still have to get out there and talk to people.
Yeah.
Which, that is one of the biggest challenges for people in life. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what would you attribute that, because, when you and I were talking, I know that you said that you had struggled with some learning disabilities. Do you think that going through that as a child helped you to become the person that you are today?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Actually, a lot of really successful entrepreneurs, a lot of times had learning disabilities or had some shortcomings and stuff. And I think the reason is I think why this happens is because, and I mean, you can go down a whole rabbit hole with this, but our education system is flawed and it makes everybody the same. And then you have these children with learning disabilities and they can't learn the same way as everybody else. So they have to learn a different way. So they go outside of the box, right? So what are you doing? You're teaching somebody to think outside of the box. Well, now what did you pretty much created an entrepreneur. That's what entrepreneurs do. They think outside the box, right? So they think outside the box, and now they've also been through adversity, figured out how to. Mine was I can't hear phonics, so I can't sound out words. So like new words to me is really difficult. I can't. Someone has to tell me. I have to try to memorize it. I had to go to tons of classes as a child, between kindergarten and first grade, like 3 times a week. But it gave me like a photographic memory kind of. So I think that, all that helped me. As a child, I didn't, I'm like, oh man, like this sucks. Like I didn't realize that it was going to help me later in life. But at the time, it was, kids would pick on me because I would get called to read and I couldn't read and stuff. So, it's just one of those things, but I think that it does make you who you are. You have to go through the pain. You have to go through those hardships and stuff. And, we were talking about it at the mastermind is everybody has it. You can't show me one person that hasn't gone through something difficult in their life, so.
100%. And I think that entrepreneurs even have a harder, a harder path that we choose because we choose that we want to be, independent, that we want to do our own thing and, make our own hours and, live by our, core values. And that overlaps into personal and professional. So, I know how dedicated you are to your employees because you said in 2015, you had responsibilities for people. And so, you weren't willing just to throw in the towel when all of these things got thrown at you. So that's extremely commendable. And I know that with anybody with, a business that's doing, 7, 8+ figures a year, the bigger the business is, the more problems that come along with it. Yep. So, one other thing I would like to ask you before, I kind of wrap it up with your final thoughts. My whole goal is to interview, people that have actually created a business and they have done their thing and now they're able to share and gift other people with a job like you've been able to do. So what does wealth truly mean to you?
So I don't think it's just money. I think wealth is something that it can be any aspect of your life. I mean, you can be wealthy in your, love, family, like, money's one of them, obviously. But for me, if you look at wealth, I would say that I have the money. I want a vehicle. So what I mean by vehicle is I want a businesses or streams of income to be able to create the life I want to live. So with that being said, is I would want to be able to, have money to be able to do what I want with my family. Send my children to whatever school they want to, if that's what they want, or be able to go on vacations and make the memories that we want. But I think it's more the freedom. And so for me, it's not necessarily saying like, hey, I have to have this amount of money, but whatever that life is for you. But then at the same time, though, is like my why is my legacy. And so for me is why I like coaching and doing the mastermind and stuff like that is it's the ripple effect of all the people I touch. So at the end of the day, if I can have this money and I can help so many people with it, then that does more for me than, saying, hey, I have millions in the bank for me. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Everybody loves money and money makes the world go round. But at the end of the day, I think wealth is, like for me, family's a huge one for me. So my family is, if I'm wealthy in my family and my love with them, then, that means more to me than anything.
Yep. I completely agree. You know what, I don't think you can have wealth without health. I truly don't, because then you're always chasing your health and that's what you're hyper focused on. So, that's a part of, all of that family, love, relationships, your spirituality, all of it. So Ryan, you know what, I do want to talk about this also too, because I love the fact that you are the only person that I have met in my business career that is very niche specific in, how you mentor other people in the lighting industry.
Yep.
And I think it's really important for people to understand that you need to have that segmented marketplace, and you're being the expert, but you know what, again, you're also learning from other people too. That's part about, having a mastermind. How did that come up for you to, have this idea that you can, teach people that are in the lighting industry to be better, to make more money, and to be a more effective business owner?
Yeah, so it's actually funny. I've been a trainer for a company called Clippa, and we train people to get in Christmas lights it's been since 2014, I think. I started helping them. And, I make some money. I make money and I travel around. It's fun. I obviously I love networking, meeting people. So that's what I love doing. And so that fills my cup. So like, that would fill my cup a lot. It was more, I enjoyed doing it than the money. And I kept telling my wife, I said, there's some reason I'm doing this. I don't know what it is, but one day I'll figure it out. And then all of a sudden we had the aha moment. Let's start this mastermind. And we started the mastermind in May. And I think we have like 32 people in there right now already this year. And we didn't want to go too big this year because we want to make sure we could support them. And we're going to do like a big push next year. But now doing that, we became, by doing the trainings and everything, I became an expert in our field.
Yeah.
And so now people look to us. And so when we started it, people were like, oh, I want to learn from them. They have $1 million Christmas light business, that this year we'll hopefully do 1.7. So people in, 3 months. And so people are like, I want to learn from them. So that was when we started it, that was like the aha moment. And I'm like, okay, this is why I've been doing all this. And sometimes you don't really know being an entrepreneur, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, but you have that calling and you're like, I need to do this. And then it might go off somewhere else. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow. So I think the biggest thing is I always tell people is you have to have the end in mind, but you also have to like know that it's delayed gratification. Sometimes you're not going to get that, I see people that start a new business and they're like, I'm going to buy a new truck and a boat and stuff after a year or two being in business. And it's like, no, you're not at that point yet. You need to reinvest in the company and grow the company. You don't need to be buying that boat and that brand new truck. So I think that's kind of, you have to do that delayed gratification.
Okay, that's awesome. So one last question here that I have for you. And this comes back to whether people are looking to buy a business or they're looking to really just start it. Maybe they have $1,000 in the bank, but they have a skill set that they can capitalize on. What would be your one major piece of advice to them to get started?
One piece of advice.
I know. Okay, maybe there's a couple.
Yeah. So I tell everybody actually right now, if you're looking at like a service-based business, any business, honestly, so many people want to do everything right away. And so if you're not good at answering phones and you have a home service business, don't hire somebody to answer the phones. Hire a VA, hire somebody part-time person, mom or something. Like so many people think they need to do everything right out the gate. And I was guilty of it, right? I was guilty of it at first. When I hired my first coach, she sat down and made me go sales full time rather than working on the crew. We grew 73% that year. She's like, you're holding the company back by not being in sales full time. You're a really good salesperson. You need to be out doing that full time. So sometimes we all are our own roadblock. She actually had me read a book called the Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and that was like my aha moment, that I realized that I was holding our company back, and so I think that's the biggest thing, is sometimes we get blinders on. So do hone in on what you're really good on. If you're really good at a craft, if you're a plumber and you want to start a plumbing company, then obviously hire people to work in the office and you be the plumber right away, but then get people trained underneath you, because as soon as you can get 2, 3, 4 trucks on the road, even if they're working at 85% of the capacity you are, start multiplying that times 4 and do the math versus you doing 115%. It's just gonna take off. So it's just a numbers game at that point. But don't think you have to do this alone. Like, find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody to help you, teach you, find the help. I mean, that's the biggest thing, I think, is just find the help to help you, whether it's employees or outside as a mentor.
So what I want to kind of piggyback on what you said is that there are so many VA opportunities that are so reasonably priced, anywhere from like $7 an hour to 15. It's well worth the investment, especially, I actually, it was so great that you said this, because it reaffirmed, what I was talking about, because I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and, he's like, I'm scaling my business, but we've doubled our business, but we're not closing the deals. And he goes, it's because I'm not closing the deals. And I said, then hire and outsource everything else and you go and close the deals, because that's what you're good at. And until you find the right, and I love what you said, you find the right who, not the how. I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Gap and the Gain, with Dan Sullivan, and yeah,
right over there.
But they talk about the importance of having the right people in the right roles, and then you're going to see your business, incrementally increase. But the first, most simplest thing, well, actually two, because I work with a lot of women. First thing that I tell them, that, if you are primarily working from home, you have to hire a housekeeper to come in at least twice a month, minimum. And then, once you bring in this amount, you're having her come every week, because the income producing activities that you're doing, that's not going to help you while you're scrubbing your toilet.
No, it's 100%.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. So it's
early on, you have more time, and then later on you have more money. So as those start like changing, then you start hiring that stuff out. And that's I pay someone to clean our house, we pay someone to mow our yard. We could do all of it, but we don't do any of that, because my time is way more valuable, and I'd rather be spending the time with my family on the weekends. So that's like a hard thing for me, is the only time during the weekends I work is during Christmas. There's 6 weekends. The rest of the weekends of the year, I don't work. Saturday and Sunday is for my family. So I don't work. And at night when I get home, it's for my family. And I used to, when I was younger, before I had a family, I did. And that was my time to crunch. But now it's my family time. And so I'm really sacred about that, except for 6 weeks a year. I do work on Saturdays, and my wife knows it. My kids know it. And that's the only time. Besides that, is sacred. And I'm not saying that's what you have to do. That's just what me and my wife decided that we wanted for our family, and what I wanted. But, everybody's different. So you got to decide what's right for you.
Well, I'm so glad that you made that point, because those boys, they're going to be graduating high school, and they're going to be, go into their field or whatever they're going to do. Then they're going to get married. Yep. Literally, it happens, and you blink, and then they're grown. So I commend you for that. Really.
And it's tough, because people are like, well, you could work every Saturday and make this much more money. And I'm like, yeah, but then I'm missing out on my sons growing up and hanging out with them. Like, I don't get to go to the pumpkin patch like we did this weekend with their cousins. And, on Sunday I'd be working. So no, I'd rather have those memories,
Yep. 100%. So Ryan, do you have any closing thoughts as we wrap up today's sesh?
Yeah. So I'm really big on mindset. And so I think that mindset plays a huge role in me and you talked about it when we were in Hilton Head. And I think mindset's a big one. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. But everybody out there can do what we've done. It's not easy. Nothing's easy in life, but that you really want. But mindset's 100%. And I think that if you can get your mind right, then you can do anything. And if there's a book you want to read, it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. I think everybody, even if you're in business or not, should read that book. It's one of my favorites, and I tell everybody to read it. But just get your mind right, and it's just little things you can do every day, and it's things I do with my kids. On my way to school, drop my son off, I ask him 3 things he's grateful for every single day. And some days they're silly, some days they're they're serious, and then every night they have a little thing they say, and it says, I'm brave, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm awesome, I love my family loves me, I love God, and God loves me. And so I think at the end of the day, if you have children, if you don't tell your children who they are, then the world will do it for you. And definitely don't want the world to tell my children who they are. I want to be able to dictate that for them.
So that was so awesome. Ryan Fox, thank you so much. And you know what? Where's the best place for people to find you on social media?
Yeah, so Facebook, just look up Ryan Fox, Fox. You can look there, and you can send me a message. I'll answer it, or I get back to almost everybody pretty quick. So me or my VA will reach back out to you. And then if you're looking to get into lights or have questions about it, message me, or just business in general. So I love talking and helping with people. So.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that we can include all of Ryan's credentials so you can find a way to reach out to him, you guys, because this guy, he inspires me. And I love having especially young parents on the show because they can show you what's possible, no matter what stage of life that you're in, especially with some of the people in my age genre, and talking to young entrepreneurs like you that are just, showing the world that you can do just anything that you want. So Ryan, thank you so much for being on. I so appreciate you spending some time with us today, and I cannot wait to share this with the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right, you guys, take care. You know what to do. You know where to find me. Mwah. I love you all. Bye-bye.